Hey Brandon, can you hear
Hey,
me?
good morning, Eric. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Man, just my head's spinning, man. It's so busy between work and real estate. It's pretty busy.
What's work for you these days?
Um, I work for a company called Altech, and and I'm a supervisor for six technicians, and we um, pretty much serve the Central Texas area. We're manufacturer technicians that work on the bucket trucks and the digger trucks. So if you ever see the bucket trucks, the man lifts the on the big trucks that work on electric or on the electric the power poles and the wiring and all that.
Oh, that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we work on those. We work on their trucks, on their equipment. So
Cool.
yeah,
Sounds like
yep,
jumping through a lot of last minute hoops. When shit
yep,
breaks, they probably want to fix right away.
exactly. Yeah, especially when they got people stuck in the air.
And I would think that the idea is to quit that and just real estate full time. Does that seem about accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I like what I do. I like both, so I feel like I'm pretty, I feel like I'm blessed to be able to have two opportunities like this. So, because my job is pretty flexible as well. So,
Cool.
yeah.
I actually thought that you were full time, Brandon. I just didn't know because when you came on here, it seems like you were doing kind of the agent thing as well as the investor thing. So I didn't know you had a job outside of this too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I pretty much do both. I really like what I do. So, the guys that I got are great, so they take care of me and I take care of them and it works out pretty good. Works out pretty good. I'm able to go to my appointments, and then whatever I need to do late, I can work late on my other job. So it's real flexible. So
Yeah, for sure. A lot of ways that's good. That you have multiple ways of making income, right? Rather than having to like be, so tied to what you're making in real estate, especially when, markets like this happen. So
yes. Yep. Yep. Yep.
nice.
So
Yeah.
we'll go through this deal you have working here, this newest lead. When,
Yeah.
but I want to wait till we get Tom in here before we start on that.
Okay. Did you want to pull up my follow-up, boss?
Yeah, here let's maybe we'll go to some other people and then let me message Tom quick. Remind
Okay.
of meeting because Tom's working with you on the actual like leads and has his head in it. I think
Mhm.
having waiting till he's on to go through that would be more beneficial.
Okay.
Well, Jordan, what's going on in your world? Are you still trying to bring in leads with the YouTube deal or
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm just I
cold calling too?
yeah, doing some cold calling, pretty much just kind of like, dialing that in a little bit more, trying to make that more of a habit, you know what I mean? Because it's very easy not to do it, because of the rejection and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm focused on is just, kind of I've had some success just having conversations with people, and I'm doing the whole Ricky Caruth thing where it's basically like I realize I have no, like, I don't have a huge database. I haven't ever built a database, at all. And Eric, I'm sure you probably have a database of some sort, right? Of sellers and just people that you've connected with. And I don't really have that. So one by one, I'm just kind of like adding email addresses and trying to send out like a weekly email so that people at least see me weekly, and then also doing the YouTube thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I do have a pretty big database at this point, just from running paid advertising for a long time and bringing sellers in. But with this industry, I don't actually think the database is all that helpful if
Mhm.
unless you're trying to work with buyers. Or it's not that it's worthless. It is worth something, but it's these people in the database are only a potential lead when they're ready to buy or sell. And most of the time people are not ready to buy or sell. So I don't know. I don't think having the database is that important. I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's a certain level of like having a database and then also learning the whole aspect of, you know, generating leads. right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just figuring out, like, I mean, you should really have a bucket under everything, right? You know what I mean? And catch all the water that's dripping from everywhere. So
Yeah.
uh,
I'd say I probably like 2 out of my last 40 deals were from people in the long-term list, like maybe 5%. So, I mean, it's worth
so
doing for sure. Like you don't want to not do that, but
yeah,
yeah.
but that's interesting because like, when I'm looking at it from an agent side, like let's say just being a listing agent or just being an agent in general, majority of the time, like the top agents that I, hear from or talk to are basically like, can pretty much rely on a certain percentage of listings or deals coming from people they stay in touch with just via their database. So do you think there's a difference in like the type of person you're working with and whether or not that's successful or
Yeah, so I think there's a few different approaches you could take. One, some agents will just do social events and their whole marketing thing is pretty much they're gonna no, this is not quite the right word, but party with people all the time to get,
yeah
like a big inner sphere where they'll constantly put together, like I know an agent that is a big Giants fan, so he has like the G-men and they get together and watch all the Giants games, and he has like 6 or 7 spheres of things like the G-men, right? And
yeah
the only idea is he wants to have a massive amount of friends so that when they buy or sell, they go to him, right? And that can work. Like that's definitely a way to go. But I I don't like that so much, but only because I have 3 kids and a wife and don't want to spend my time like creating a whole bunch of friends. I don't really want a
yeah
bunch of friends. I'd rather just like someone's ready to sell and they fill in the form. And I'm like, all right, let's sell your house. And then I spend all my working time like on actual deals, making money, and none of it networking with a bunch of people that have a big sphere of influence. But that's just because that's my personality and my life situation, and I just don't want to do it that way. But
No, I mean I agree with you. Like I'm a pretty
yeah.
social guy and I'm a nice guy, like I like to think people like me and whatnot, but at the same time I don't want to be the guy that's like, hey, come over to my house and like let's watch a game, or hey, come over, I'm gonna cook you barbecue. I'm like, no, that's a pain in the ass. Like I would rather
Yeah.
you just see me as a nice, capable dude that can help you with your real estate needs.
Yeah.
Call me when you
Yeah.
need me. So I'm trying to find the balance there, right? Because there's a lot of agents out there that are super social and they put on like it was Easter recently, and they're like, hey, come to this Easter egg hunt we're putting on. That ain't
Yep.
me, dude. I'm not gonna put on a
Right.
freaking Easter egg hunt. Like maybe for my kids, but
For what
that's
it's worth, my friend who is a realtor that does that, he also is divorced now.
there you go.
And I think it's related.
Yeah,
Like never being around and like, he had like a thing every night. Like he spent all of his time networking and it works. And he's the guy that actually owns the fourplex from my most recent video I put out, the one I'm modeling. But
gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, man. I guess it's just figuring out, what aspect of real estate you want to dive into that's going to fit your personality and everything the best. So
Well, and if
still
you want
trying
to
to figure
scale a
out.
lot, I think you want to spend the least amount of time possible on lead generation. Like, so that's why I'm a big pay-per-click guy because I
Mhm.
really think if you just buy your leads and then do more deals and make more money, you're probably in the end better off than if you're getting your leads free through working at them, right? Spending your time on the leads. But
Right. Yeah.
um, tons of people completely disagree with me and have a lot of success though. So
Yeah.
they're
I mean, there's
good.
there's so many different ways to do it. So anyway, that's
Yeah,
kind of where I'm at, just kind of testing different stuff. And hopefully in the next, year or two, it kind of catches fire and I figure out like what it is, where my deals are coming from and whatnot. So
cool. Yeah. I think that you're probably, see, what did you just post, Brandon? Oh, that's
Oh,
just a
yeah.
message to
No,
me.
no, I just sent you a link to pictures.
Oh,
So we got
cool.
pictures of the property as well.
Sweet. Hey, Jason, did you have anything specifically that you wanted to go over? All right, let's now that Tom's on, let's dig into Brandon's deal.
All right, I'm itching to hear about this.
I could put pictures up, or so there's a couple different ways I can do it. I can make you host Brandon and you can share your screen, or I can look at what you just sent me, share my screen, and post it. You have a preference?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You can, I guess, yeah, you can put up the pictures and
Cool.
Yeah.
Unless you didn't want me to do that, but
no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
okay. Here we go.
I was salivating over to this deal when I saw it hit follow up, boss.
Yeah. Yeah. So this property was a lead that we got through the Google Ads campaign. And so basically it's it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home over in Temple, and Temple's is about 18 minutes away from where I live. But as far as the comps go, I mean, Tom, he helped me look up the comps, and we're kind of in the 270 range as far as ARV goes. The seller, basically it was a property that they lived in, and then they moved out, and then they were renting it, and then the renters moved out, and now they're looking to sell it. They don't have the money, to put into getting it all fixed up or anything, and they kind of want to get cash as soon as possible for it.
You can tell someone tried to remodel this. Maybe not super recently, but at some point, someone put a lot of time and money into this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone that didn't really know what they were doing very well either.
Yeah, it was definitely a DIY project.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is so easy to sell.
What's that?
This is going to be so easy to sell. Like, this is probably, I would definitely look into if there's a break in the line that feeds this fountain, because oftentimes there's problems with that kind of thing. But if you can get this thing running and filled with water and it's not leaking, even for like 10 grand, it's probably a lot less than that. Way down in the Keys where everything's really freaking expensive, it's like 10 grand to refinish a pool like this. Not a liner, but actually like redo all the Diamond Bright and get rid of any leaks. If you spend 10 grand and you have this, like, that's the worst case, right? That's if there's a leak. But even if there's not a leak, don't even spend the 10 grand. But either way, if you have a fountain running and this pool all nice, this is the easiest property to sell.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, according to the seller, the pool is it just needs, obviously just needs to be cleaned and water put in it. The waterfall works. The only thing is, they did tell me, was the hot tub motor needs to be replaced. So there, that would need, that needs repair.
You sure gave this a lot of space, but it's hidden.
Yeah. So that was kind of like, that's one of the challenges, I guess, for me was, I guess the challenges is, determining the ARV, because, the comps or that I gave Tom, when me and Tom looked at, there wasn't, in the last 90 days, there wasn't much in the neighborhood. That's comparable to the age. There is another neighborhood nearby that's got newer homes, like built in the 80s or 90s. So I kind of went zip code wide as far as age, age goes on the house, and based on the age of the house in the zip code, we're looking at an ARV of 270, 260.
Yeah. This reminds me, there's a couple houses I've done that are kind of similar to this, older with a pool, and they both were home runs. Yeah, I think this is gonna be probably sell on the higher end of what you think it's going to sell for. The only thing you've got fighting you is the the time of year is pretty shitty, but other than that,
Right.
this looks looking pretty great. This is looking at the front of the house. You can tell they converted the garage at one point.
Yes.
Just I
Yeah,
guess
and
I'd
that's-
look at the floor in there and see if it's going to need leveled.
Yeah, it would need to be leveled. It does still have the little decline, you know, for water runoff.
Right, and where that gets a little tricky is, so they already have the doors in there too. And so if you raise, say you got I don't know how much the slope in that garage was, but say it was 2-3 inches, and you got to bring those doors up 2-3 inches, you may or may not have that space, right, without really butchering the doors. So
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, I'd have maybe $3,000 slush fund to deal with that problem in the back of my mind. Then also the roof is shot. Definitely put in money
Yes.
for a new roof.
Yeah, the roof. Yep.
The
Yeah, so
windows
I was
look
kind of
old.
estimating about 60K to get it into
Okay.
ARV shape.
I bet you end up higher than that. I bet it's like 75.
Yeah.
But
maybe 75.
I'd bet without, I haven't looked at the comps, and I'm gonna let Tom chime in on this too. But I bet you're underestimating the ARV also
Yeah,
though.
and I think yeah. I mean, I might, yeah. I feel like I may be overestimating, but I mean, that's
Well, maybe where you're at and clean, the labor is like way cheaper to the point where you can do it in 60. And I know you've done some flips there, so maybe you're right. I just know if this was in Denver, I'm looking at this going, I've got at least 7K in windows. I've got about 10K in the roof because that looks like a big roof.
Mhm.
And we haven't even got inside yet. So for my budget's 60, I'm probably down to 45K left to try to finish the whole inside. And I know that pool is gonna take probably 10K to get it exactly where you
Yeah.
want it.
Yeah.
I know Tom's had to deal with a pool project before too. Or
I did, but I gotta say, even in Colorado, that was a massive home run. I think it was bid up 30 grand from when we listed it before 21 also. So I think pools can cut both ways, but I don't
yep.
know. I remember your largest flip too had a pool, right? The one that was like a 6-figure profit in Littleton.
It was my most profitable flip at one point in time.
Right.
Yeah. I think I
I
made
remember that.
103 grand off of it in Littleton.
Yeah. So the cost here, to give you context, there's only what 2 or 3 pool companies in Denver, and they basically have a monopoly or an oligopoly. They're basically the mob, and they can charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
So I suspect that it's a little more routine for people, investors, to fix up pools down there, and maybe some better services, because mine wasn't even that good. I had a call 3 months later from the owner. No, it was about a year later. And he said, "Hey man, the pool liner that you put in ripped." And I said, "Sir, I'm sorry. I use the only reputable pool company in the city. I mean, you'll have to follow up with them. I didn't know who else to use. There's only like one." So anyway, I do think the pool can bring in a premium. Yeah. Do you want me to just for 3 minutes show you the comps that I was thinking? Would that be helpful?
Yeah. Let's run through the comps.
Okay. And we
You
can
are host, Tom.
Great. All right, let me share my screen here. Yeah, let's just do desktop. Okay, so what I noticed when I was looking at this is I wish I had your MLS pulled up, but I'll just look at the comps that we highlighted in FUB, which are right here. There's 4 houses. I first pulled up the MLS, and I agree with you. There is some active inventory sitting there at 270, 280, 290. So even if you do achieve the higher end of that, which might be 290, 300, it may take a while to sell and get buyers through that inventory. I remember so that's what I noticed though, is that a couple things. The first comp I saw was this, which is right down the street. Let's just see if we can pull them up on Zillow. Temple, Texas. I don't know anything about Temple, but this is 1,800 square foot as well, just down the street. It's in good condition, but certainly not flipped. And it has garage. All these comps are going to have garages, so you may want to make a small adjustment for the fact that ours does not, uncovered parking. But this sold for 310 on a contract for deed, which is fascinating to me because it has nice paint carpet, but it's certainly not anything spectacular. And I think it's
You could blow that out of the water with a budget of 60K.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
So first thing that I see when I see that is there was a buyer willing to pay terms on a 312 purchase price last fall. The buyer probably couldn't get a regular mortgage, so you're talking about a small rehab to sell on terms, maybe around 300. That was one angle that I looked at. Okay, so I kept that in mind.
Wait, the Zestimate was 317, but what did it sell for?
310 on terms.
All right, so and I would count that as a 290 because we've gone down. Yeah, well, because that was October 20.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So that says, okay, great. Maybe there's an exit there that's not a high-end rehab, same ARV, and maybe you need to
Did it have a
look
pool?
in a second.
Did it have a pool? Because that,
I don't believe so.
all
Let's
right,
look.
no pool.
No.
In my mind, that erases any market turn and garage missing. That says
Okay.
ARV 310 to me.
All right, good. So the lifestyle premium, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Next one down the street. These are all within the subdivision, so I didn't go over any crazy boundaries. There were enough comps there. Similar size. Let's do an open concept ranch. This is February, so this will give you an idea of what happened going into this year. Our subject property is sitting right here. This one, scorched out lawn, right? Nice garage, nice interior,
New.
high ceilings, right? They did the flip, so to speak, cheap cabinets, cheap countertop, but
It looks new though. Like
it's certainly new. Yeah, I'm just saying I don't believe it to be high end unless I'm
right. I mean, I think the builder built it like that is my guess. I don't
Oh,
think
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's builder grade.
Yeah.
Great. Well, pretty they don't really wire the outside, very small lot, nothing spectacular. And that went for 295. That was in April. Which is even better. I mean, even slower, right? Did I put that? I put Feb. Maybe I missed something, but 295 regardless with high interest rates. So that gives us a pretty good.
How close are these things, these houses to our subject property?
Close. Yeah, I'll show you the map. Where's ours? Down on the left here somewhere?
Yeah, you're right there. See where
Wow.
Paseo de Plata? Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
What a strange area. You have like a 70s house and a new build within like 2 blocks.
So I just pulled them from this square.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so you know. All right. So that was the first thing. Okay. I like the top end, even if it doesn't quite get to 300. I like that the fact that nothing special is selling or in that area. But then I started to see, I said, okay, let me take it down to the lower end, or let's go down the low end of price, same size, and see what's sold in the investment world. So, okay, here's a home that sold for 193 in January, basically a wholesale deal, and it's significantly smaller. It is only 1,300 square feet, 1,386, whereas ours is 1,800. And it is basically as dated as kind of a wholesale, right? They cleaned it up a little bit. Maybe they put in steam the carpet. That's about it.
Really shitty wholesale job.
Yeah, shitty wholesale, right? With probably they got a hot tub. That's about it. So that sold for 193 with at this amount, right? Which is encouraging. But then what really encouraged me a little more, I tried to find another wholesale. Let me get this Zoom thing out of my. Here's the one that I really liked in February of 2023. Another wholesale, right in the same area, and let's pull it up on maybe Compass will have the photos. Okay, Brick Ranch, yes, okay, good. So virtually stage, ignore the staging, just look at the finishes. Tile, laminate,
That's an open door listing.
is it? Okay, so they whole tail, cleaned up, paint carpet, painted the fireplace. And I don't believe the bathrooms are redone much. So you're talking a very, very light. I mean, maybe not a whole tail, right? Maybe you're just talking about cosmetically, there's nothing defective to the eye when walking in, but there's certainly no upgrades. This was sold for how much? 200,000 and smaller, a smaller property. So this was built in 93. And how many square footage was this? Oh, I bet it's at the top right here. 1250. Woo! That is small. So that gets me very excited because again, our subject property is 40% larger, right?
Yeah.
So again, those two comps in my mind suggest that our subject property would sell maybe 210. I'm only going to go $10,000 higher, even though it's a bigger house with lower rates than February, right? So I'm gonna try to be conservative. So that just in my mind, I'm not saying that's the play, but I'm saying there's definitely, if there's a lot of active competition at 270, 280, then hey, maybe we just clean this thing up for a week and throw it on the market. And at 200 and see if it gets bid up to 210, 215 based on the fact that these smaller houses sold, in and around 200. That's the angle. And then there's another couple angles. The fuller flip like we discussed. The other angle that you could look at is buying it with some financing and then wrapping the financing to an end buyer. I think there might be enough spread. I had my little note calculator out. What is the website that you use, Eric, to do your note?
That's the one. No.
Okay, great.
Yep.
This one's fun, right? You
Yep.
fill in 3 and you get the 4th. So I was seeing at 150,000, if we had just some general, let's just say a 7% mortgage there, it's be $1,000 a month. And then could we wrap that up to an end buyer and sell it again on a contract for deed at 300, just like that comp? And the question is, would we be able to find a buyer that can come in, or is it worth seeing? Don't touch the house much. Just you could even sell it at a discount and say as is, right? So maybe you sell it for 250 instead of 300, or
which would actually be a much better play, right? Because then you don't have to put the cash in for the renovation.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to touch it. I mean, maybe you clean it up a little bit, just to like that comp, just to get it presentable. And then, if you wrap this thing at say 8%, that's $1,800. Note, the question is that affordable for a buyer? Well, the comps are suggesting that it is, because I'm sure the contract for deed that sold at 300K had similar terms, probably 8, 9, 10% interest market rates. And you could even stretch this over 40-year mortgage if you wanted, if they had a problem with affordability, and for $1,700. So now you're netting $700 a month free cash flow, and you go ahead and sell that note in a couple of years. Probably this mortgage is going to be lower, because you could say, let's have them put 10% down or 15 grand down. That goes in your pocket right away. So let's say they put 10% down, their loan actually be a little less than this. So you sold it for 250 maybe without touching it as is. They have a $1,500 payment a month, and then you could go sell that note after 1 year of seasoning it and get your profit out. Or Eric, this was sort of, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of selling notes. I love the deal that you're talking about, but I would just stay in it forever, right? Because you're only going to have $5,000-$10,000 in it, and you're making well, in this case, $500, $560 a month, and that's with that's if they need a 40-year term. So I would just do it and just stay in it forever and take the passive money. The reason I hate selling notes is because you have to take a haircut on them, and that haircut that you have to take on selling notes has just gotten worse as our economic conditions have changed. Like, it used to be where you could take a note and sell it for like 85, 90% of the value. But now it's like 70% everywhere I've seen. And so I don't think you even could sell the note and on this deal, the way we're talking about setting it up. But
I think you could, yeah, it depends. It depends how much had been seasoned, right? I mean, regardless of the exit though, do you like the wrap numbers as far as, let's say, a $25,000 profit up front? This is the real kicker here, is over the course of their loan, that's how much that deal pays you.
yeah, when you look at how much money you have to leave invested into the deal, and then you look at your monthly like return. I haven't done the math on it. I'm just looking at it, and it's going to be well over 20% ROI. It's better than any other investment you could make in anything right now. So I think it's a great deal.
Yeah, cool. Well, anyway, that's my thought is there's 3 plays, which is the full flip, but full is a little bit of an asterisk because you don't really need to decorate the house as a luxury house. I think basic finishes would get you there for that neighborhood. The second play is a wholesale, just clean up and list quickly play around 210, and then the last play is wrapping the home, making say 20 grand up front, 8 grand a year in cash flow, and then choosing your exit, whether you want to hold or try to get out of the deal later.
When we say hotel, would it be making sure all major components of the house are working, like the roof needs to be replaced, right? The HVAC system needs to be replaced, and having the pool, have water in it working. Would that be something that we would need to consider doing a hotel as opposed to, what I mean, as far as having that stuff go? I mean, because I think the other comps, the roof was the roofs are functional. I mean, this roof's functional too, but it needs to be replaced. I'm pretty sure that the HVAC systems on the other houses were working as well.
You're marketing it as is, right? So at those prices, right? If you look at the prices of the homes that are all nice, if you fix all that stuff, this house is worth you in the 250 plus, on up. But if you don't fix that stuff and you put it on at like, I don't know what we're talking about, somewhere in the 200 range as a wholesale play without touching anything, then I think at that price range, the expectation is shit's not going to work. Like, you're getting a bargain and you got to fix stuff.
Yeah, I think you're trying to communicate to the buyer on a wholesale deal that there's $100,000 gross spread that you're going to get, and you may have to do $40,000 worth of sweat equity to get there, but the reward for you is 60. That's kind of what you want someone to see when they're going into this deal if they're living in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
And let's say you liked the idea of doing the terms deal with the wrap, but you didn't have, I don't know how much, say it's $20,000 you have to sink into this thing, and you just don't have $20,000 of dry powder. And you're like, yeah, if I did, this would be great because I get a 25% ROI or whatever, but I don't have it. Right. Then it's as simple as you go to lightstream.com and take out an unsecured line of credit, and it'll be 8-9% interest, but who gives a shit when you're making 25% return on it? So like, the money's there. When you can get that kind of return, you can get the cash, even if you don't have it. But sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
wait, you're saying you're saying getting the loan. What was that in regards to just getting it to ARV or?
No. So let's say you purchase the property for $250,000 on terms from the seller. So either a sub 2 or lease option. My preference is lease option most of the time, but one of those 2 strategies to buy it on terms, and then you resell it to an end buyer for $250 for the same price, but you have a higher interest rate, or maybe a longer term with the end buyer, or maybe even get more money. Wrap it like Tom was talking about here with this calculator.
Yeah, and I didn't mention a balloon, but you could just, if you wanted to get out of the deal and see some amount of money within the next 5-6 years, you could just put a balloon on it for that buyer And so I was just scrolling down here after 5 years, if they do 10% down, pay this amount for 5 years, but you require them to refinance at that point through some qualified or non-qualified loan, then they're going to pay you off 220. And on the note that on the bank loan that you're paying at 150, that balance will be probably down to 140, 130. So you're going to make almost 100 grand at some point within the 5 year window of getting paid off.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Well-
And that's like basically owner well, I can't do a lease. I can't do a lease option here, but owner financing it at 250 from the seller.
Correct.
And then selling it at 300, right? Is that? And then
No. You're just going to buy this seller out at 150 or 160 in cash, like you discussed, right? And you could get a loan for that if you want private
Oh.
money loan. You could get a loan
yeah,
from the
yeah.
bank at 7%, 8%.
Tom, let's stick with so there's an exit strategy on a flip, but what if we buy it on terms, like so a lease option, and at this point we're paying them 250, right? So they're getting a higher purchase price. So instead of selling it cash for like 160, they're gonna get 250. So they get an extra 90K on the purchase price, but
Sure.
we're buying it on terms. So we're like $500 a month. We're just paying down their existing mortgage pretty much. So let's call it sub 2 to keep it easy to wrap your head around.
So we're doing a terms deal with the existing seller, and are we doing any money down or negotiating an interest rate or?
Let's say we're going to give them 15K and then we're going to pay $500 a month, which more than covers their existing mortgage.
Okay, great. So
And then we're going to resell it for the same price at 250 to a new buyer, but the new buyer is going to pay 8% interest and they get a 48-year term with a 5-year balloon payment.
what I would go in, first of all, always offer first is principal only. No need to bring up the interest rate. Just say, hey, can I start making payments toward the 235 every month? And within 5 years, I'll cash you out and you'll pick up that extra spread of whatever amount of money on top of 160. That's the first question, because the second you get a yes on that, now you're about to make a massive spread between what you wrap. So let's just assume this is $500. The calculator won't really give us that because we're paying $500 a month. So each year we're paying $6,000 toward the principal of the 235, right? So we gave them $15,000 down. We're paying $6,000 a year of principal. So in 5 years, we'll have paid $30,000 off of this. So in 5 years, we're going to owe them 205. Just remember that number, right?
Yep.
So that's our payment schedule. So now we can go wrap the deal and sell. Did you say at 250 you want to do the same one? Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Exactly.
So we're gonna wrap this at 250. Let's call it 8% interest, right? And we could do, I mean, if we can
Love
get
it.
away with a 30-year mortgage, then we're gonna want, right? It depends on what rents are in the neighborhood and what affordability looks like. But if you can get away with a normal mortgage, no different than if they went down to the bank, this is what the payment schedule would look like for someone that's buying the home, about $1,800 a month.
See, and I would argue that it doesn't even matter what the term is, whether it's 36 or 480. It's just if it's the 30-year loan, you're going to get more of your money in cash flow every month. If it's 480 a month, no, a 40-year term, then you're going to get more of your profit in the spread of the principal balances at payoff. But you're going to get the money either way.
Yeah. If we stretch it out to 480, this is going to be, they're not going to pay this loan down very fast. So is that making sense? That if we do a longer loan, this schedule, they're going to be, I mean, this balance just stays high at 248, 247. So in 5 years, they're going to owe, let's say you gave them a favorable term of 40-year amortization. They're going to owe 243, right? And remember, you only owe 205. So you built in a small back end spread, and that might come in 3 years. They might not wait 5 years to refinance you out, because if they can get a better rate, they might do it in 2. If a lender approaches them and says, dude, you got a lot of equity, we can get you down to 4%. Why don't we pay off that existing balance on the property? You're paying a fortune for that owner finance. We can do, a refi is a lot easier to get once you're in the home and you're the owner and there's equity at play. So, but anyway, if you wrap this thing on a standard mortgage, you're going to make more in cash flow, like Eric is saying. And maybe you have to adjust the interest rate a little bit to get, maybe just to make it affordable. Maybe you accept more money as a down payment instead of doing. We had a guy in North Carolina called Billy up. I got $100,000 to put down. I cannot get a mortgage though. And I got a full-time job. I want a home in the country. So now he's on the buyer list and he's ready to go. Billy's bringing him to houses that we're making offers on terms because he's ready to buy. So the point is, some people have cash for whatever reason and are ready to buy. So maybe you negotiate a better interest rate at 5 if they bring, say, $50,000 down, because that's money in your pocket now. You could, with that 50,000, you could pay them 15, the original owner, 15,000. And I wish I had my Microsoft Word up. I'll do it next time, more formal deal numbers. But you're going to make 30, 40 grand up front if you have somebody that can pay a big money down payment. If not, then you could do 10,000 down and you're going to make a better spread on the cash flow. But your spread is about $1,100 a month. It's better to do this as owner finance because you have zero maintenance, zero liability at that point. You just have a note, which is an asset. Mm-hmm. So you're going to sit for you're going to make, let's say, $15,000 now on a down payment. You're going to make $1,100 a month, and you're going to make 35,000 or so in the difference when they refinance.
Yeah, that's an 88% return, not even counting the difference of the refinance. So say you go get a loan from Lightstream for that 15 grand, maybe that's, I don't have it in front of me, but it's like about $300 a month, maybe even. So instead of making 1,100, you net 800, I think. Yeah. But
you might have to pay a little interest on, or you raise it from Grandma Joe, or somebody that wants to be a partner with you.
It's an infinite return if you go get a loan for even
right.
Right.
No money into the deal.
Yeah.
Basically the loan for the down payment.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Or you negotiate a seller second. You can, if your sellers, that's what we do. We've done so far is this is why it's important to have banking relationships. If you have a local bank that you work with and you say, hey, the seller has agreed to carry back, in this case, 30 grand on a note, they're going to get 120. So they're happy, or I should say, if we do if you're buying it cash for the 150 and just getting the seller out of the deal, sometimes you might be able to negotiate with the seller. Hey, if I got you 120 right now out of the 150 or 160 that you want, would you take it? And if they say yes, then they carry back that down payment for you, as long as the bank allows for it. That's the real, but on a non-qualified mortgage, there are banks that'll be okay with that. Then you're no money down into the deal.
What I like better on this deal is to spend another, say it's 15,000 on the house, like get the pool up and working right so you can get paid for that. Maybe just paint, replace that carpet, leave the windows alone, leave the roof alone, maybe get a 5-year roof cert for like $1,500 or something so you don't have to worry about it leaking. And then instead of wrapping so you bought it on terms for 250, sell it for like 280, 290 on terms to the end buyer. Then it starts to look really good. Like, yeah, you put 30,000 in instead of 15,000 because you have 15 into the house after the 15 to the owner, but you're going to get way more than your 50. You're going to go from 250 to way above 265. And I think your returns just start to look really, really good. I haven't actually played with the calculator, but just gut feeling and knowing the numbers, I think if you did run all the numbers with selling it for more like 280, 290 and having 30K into it on terms, you probably make a killing.
I think it could sell for more than that because the comp sold for 310 on terms and that didn't have a pool.
Yeah, and when
And
you're selling it on terms, you can get away without replacing the windows. You can get away with the 5-year roof cert because your buyer can't get a loan, so they don't have a lot of options. And they're looking at this like, well, maybe our older windows and maybe the roof just has a certification on it, but I get to enjoy that badass pool. I don't have to be losing money to rent as like property values keep going up. You're gonna be able to sell a person buying on terms a lot easier than a retail buyer with options.
yeah, but even if you had to come up with your own money, you're basically turning, as Eric is saying, $30,000 of your own cash into about 80 or 90, about a 3x over 5 years or less, depending on how quick they can pay you off.
Yeah, not even counting the cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, so that's like you can do that compounded return. That's a very large percent year annualized return.
It's like 150% ROI is what it is when you start
Yeah,
to.
3x over 5 years. I mean, yeah, it's massive. It's massive.
It's way better than a flip. So pretty much
Yes.
if you throw them the 160 and they say no, and you come back with buying it on terms at 250, then that's more attractive to them. Inside, you're going, hell yeah, like this just got better. Like I'd way rather buy it for 250 than 160 on terms.
Yeah.
So,
So if I go with the play of just because it sounds like they kind of want all their money, they want all their money by the end of the month. And so if I just go ahead and just pay cash, I'm able to raise the funds for that, and then basically
full flip.
flip, basically rehab it, and then kind of do the bare minimum, and then sell it. The exit would be an owner finance, sell it owner finance to somebody. And
If
then,
you do that, you definitely want to do lease options so that you have the lease to show banks for future loans for you.
well, I can't do a lease option. I
No,
can't.
you buy
Well,
it cash, right? So you buy it
oh,
cash. And now
oh
you have
yes.
now you have two options, right? You could just do a standard flip like normal and you'll make a good chunk of cash, which maybe is what you need more than anything right now. You'd have to kind of look at everything and see whether you need a cash infusion right now. But the other way to do this would be to do a partial flip, like don't do the windows and roof, even after you buy it cash. This is what Tom started talking about a little while ago. Even after you buy it cash, you still have the exit strategy of seller finance.
Mhm.
Like if you go get your own 30-year fixed mortgage on this thing, like a 6.5% rate or whatever today's going rate
Mhm.
is, and then you sell it on terms. So say maybe you only put the $15,000-$20,000 into the house and then sell it on terms at 290 with
Ooh,
seller financing
that's a 6-figure spread.
and 8%, right? Like the buyer doesn't care whether you bought it on terms or you bought it cash.
Mhm.
The same thing, same difference to the buyer. They're buying it, the end buyer is buying it on terms. So you just have to decide, do I need a bunch of cash right now? Or would I settle for good cash flow and a huge payout, even bigger in the future? Right. And so you're just looking at your personal finances, what's better for, I'm just going to throw out some rough numbers, $50,000 now or $500 a month every month and like $85,000 later.
Yeah, huge equity position that comes over time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tax events could very much, tax liability could affect that decision as well.
Right. Okay. Well, I know for sure. Well, I know for sure pretty much that we're gonna with with funder partner or with my funding partners, they're gonna probably want their cash back pretty quick.
Well, you would, if you were going to do the seller financing, you wouldn't use the hard money lender or private money. You would do that temporary. Like, so you do it'd be more like a bridge loan up front. So say you're paying, I don't know, 1.8% or 10% or whatever it is to your private or hard money lender. So you pay them that and you get it wrapped up quick because they need their money like now, say. Then you go get traditional financing as if you're going to keep it as a rental.
Mhm.
And then you keep that traditional financing in place and do owner financing to the end buyer.
Okay. Okay.
So you close in cash, refinance within, say, 60 days, get your private lenders paid out. Maybe ask the lenders to keep money in the deal, like that little 30,000 in the deal,
Mhm.
and then give them a piece of the upside.
Okay.
And you're zero money in again. So
Okay.
I think it's a better offer to try to get it at 160, 165 cash, and then this home is not torn to pieces. It's just a small rehab away from being livable.
So you met with them, I assume, because that's where those pictures came from, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you throw out the 160 number yet?
I
Or
Yeah,
no?
I told them so right now they've got another offer for 150 from an
Oh,
investor.
awesome.
Yeah, so I told them that, based on kind of rough numbers, I really needed to I need to go back to my funding partners and let them see it, so we can raise the money, or so I get raise the money for it. So they're giving me till this afternoon, to give them a final number. So I was kind of, I told them that I'd be probably in the 160, range. But I think based on, talking with my wife, which is she's the funding partner, and my other two friends that are going to pitch in money. I think maybe 155 is something they would feel comfortable with.
They don't even feel comfortable at 160.
Well, because they're my wife, she's uncertain about the pool, but the thing is, she thinks that, I don't know, she thinks it's a little risky about having the pool and stuff like that. But she was, I just got to work. I'm going to work with her on it because she's very safe, and I'm kind of, I'm risky. I'll do it. And we've done a flip where she's like, no, let's not do it. And I went ahead and we did it. And we did good on it. So
Yeah, that pool does not look like down. That's a big plus, not an added risk. Worst case scenario, you have to spend 10K on it. There's plenty of money in this deal to still come out fine.
And we don't have a monopoly of pool repairs either. So we have plenty of pool people in our area, Texas,
Right.
100-degree heat. In fact, it's that time of year we're going to be start getting hot, and people are like, oh yeah, that pool's going to be nice, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Well, I don't know. You've got another challenge there that I don't know what to tell you getting over it, but having the
Well, as far as the house goes,
wife,
it doesn't look like we really have any challenges. The Airbnb
having
looks
your wife
great.
in financing in the financing of it, and then her being really conservative, that's tough, man. I don't know how you get through that one. Like, you gotta get her out of the way.
Well, yeah, it's pretty much I do what I'm going to do. And then she'll love me again in a couple weeks. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then if I can get our other funding partners, our friends, if our other funding partners, she'll join the bandwagon, and it'll, instead of being mad at me 2 weeks, it'll be just a week. So
There you go.
but no, I
Cool.
appreciate your input on that. I appreciate it. And I'm going to bring this, the information that, that I got here, and bring that back to them as well. And see if we can get it wrapped up for, I'm going to start at 155 and see what happens.
This might be a good thing with you having the day job right now too, but your market being a lower population area is going to take a lot longer to bring in leads. To bring 20 leads in Denver, I can pull that off if I really wanted to. I could pull it off in like 10 days at affordable pricing. But in your area, to pull 20 leads in, that's probably going to take more like 30 days to pull it off, just being even aggressive on it, because there's just not as many people um, to
Yeah.
pick through. So
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, that's kind of like, when I was running the Google, when we're running the Google ads,
Right.
a couple years ago, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same thing. But when we do get leads, they're good. You know what I mean? So,
right, right.
Juicy. Not much competition, I imagine.
right. Yeah. And then we also got another lead, that first one that came in, it was kind of weird. It was a delay. And then, I don't know what happened with that one, but I went and met that guy yesterday too. And it's a single wide mobile home.
Oh,
And it needs probably it's on a mobile home, it's on a lot, it's on a mobile home park. And I told him, I was like, well, what do you want for it? And he's like, 6. And I was like, 6 what? 6 what? And he was like, just 6,000. I was like, all
Oh.
right, well, we'll see what we can do with that. And
Do it. Owner finance, baby.
yeah, owner finance it with
Yeah, but it's
because
a
the lot
mobile
rent
home.
on that thing is like 375. He said that's the highest he's got because it includes water. So he says when it has leaks, it's when the place has leaks, the highest it goes is 375. So that's the lot rent. So and then 6K for the place. Probably rent it. I could probably rent it out or owner finance that as well. So
Yeah, owner financing on a mobile home. I guess it'd be even simpler. It's kind of like doing owner financing on a car.
yeah.
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 It's depreciating, but who cares when it's $6,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, well, where do you file your lien? And probably in the county, just like a car, but I guess you don't even care because you're the one that has title. That's a risk on the buyer's side.
Yeah.
More
You
than
just
yours.
hold title. I think you just hold title in escrow like a car company does until you pay off the lien. Do a contract that way.
Well, I could probably do a lease option with that because it's,
You could give them an
yeah,
option to
yeah.
buy
I
a
mean, I
20.
could probably do a lease option with that because I don't think, our laws would.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. You can't do the lease option in Texas.
Yeah.
Assholes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that one house that, they did a contract for deed on it. But I'm wondering if there was no underlying mortgage on it. So if there's no underlying mortgage, I think you can do a lease option
Gotcha.
as long as the loan doesn't have a due on sale clause. So
Got it. Yeah, so you're stuck with sub 2 deals.
yes,
Oh, it's
yeah.
got to be.
or wraparound mortgages.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
So,
All right,
yeah, I
well-
appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I think we talked that deal to death.
That's a
Does anybody have anything real estate related to talk about that you're wanting to discuss?
Not me. I'm pretty boring today. So
I'm in the same boat with Brandon. I'm trying to talk my wife into starting a coffee franchise and buying some land with me, but it's a hard sell.
It is.
what
Sure
coffee
is.
franchise?
What
Coffee franchise?
The Human Being is the one I was looking at, but
That's cool.
Gotcha.
yeah, I found a commercial lot right by our library that's for sale, and I was like, oh, let's put a coffee shop on it.
Yeah. Dude, the Coffee Bean, man. Is that
Yeah.
a franchise?
I don't know.
Freaking love that place, dude.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
I think everybody has the selling the wife problem to some degree until you've done enough jobs, right? Fourth or fifth time, like a bunch of money comes in.
Mhm.
My wife is listening, so be careful.
My wife doesn't even care anymore. No, it's got to the point now where if I'm telling my wife about a deal, she's like, do I really got to hear about this? Like, I just really don't give a shit what you find.
Just keep cashing checks. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll get there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we'll call it for the week and see everybody next Thursday.
Good stuff, man.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
very
Thanks.
much.
Hey, thanks, Tom, for your help. I don't know. I didn't put a comment in there because I was having a hard time trying to do that dimensions in the follow-up box, but I finally figured it out. But yeah, thanks for your help on that.
No problem, man. Go lock it up. Then go back to your wife once you got the contract.
Yeah. Thanks for forgiveness later.
There's an order there that you need to keep in mind.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good one. Take care.
Have a
All right,
good one.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.